This just might be the best flash trigger that Flashpoint has released to date. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? It is your boy Brandon, man. We are back on the channel with another review, man. Look, guess what? I got something special for you guys today, and I hope you guys enjoy this full unboxing and tutorial of the new Flashpoint R2 Nano Pro TTL. So before we get into that, just a few house rules, man. Look, if this is your first time here, man, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for stopping by, man. I love what I do, and I do what I love. I hope you found something useful on this channel, man, because there is a lot, man. So please, please, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you. And make sure you hit that bell for notifications so you know when I'm dropping anything and everything photography, man. If you are a returner, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you, man. In the meantime, man, make sure y'all go follow me on all my social media channels, Brandon Co Photography, and check out my website. It is one of the dopest photography websites out there that I think, man. www.brandoncoPhotos.com, man. You can pick up some merch. You can pick up anything over there, man. Presets, anything you want, man. And I just love it. It is just amazing. Now, so let's go ahead and get to today's video. All right, cool. Listen, so before we start this unboxing, before we go on this, I wanted to go over just a few things, right? So back in the day, I think it's around 2015, 14, 16-ish. That's when, now I've been using Flash since the beginning. Like, I love Flash. I love what it brings. I love what you're able to do to manipulate light, all those things. I will pick Flash over natural light or anything any time of day because I just like being in control, right? So back in the day, Flashpoint came out with this trigger. I still got all my triggers, right? You got all your triggers? You still got all your triggers? I got all my triggers, right? So this is the first one. This is the R2, all right? Back in the day, man, it got the job done, man. It was something that we really liked about it. 2 AA batteries in this thing, man. It had the cold shoe mount on top, and as a content creator, we used to really love this cold shoe mount because I'm able to mount GoPros, and I even used to use my Atomos Ninja 5 on top of this bad boy just to give you guys some BTS and give you guys some additional views onto where I was, regardless of what I was shooting, right? But the menu system, you know, you had this scroll wheel over here, and it always scrolled all the groups. It was really hard to go into high-speed sync menu system, and even to get into the menu system, you had to hold this button down right here, and it goes into like function, and then you have to look up all the function menus and what it was talking about, and 00 and 01. Like, it was a lot to it, man. But at the end of the day, it got the job done when we first started. After the R2, we went to the R2 Mark II, which was an upgraded version from the Mark I, all right? We still was able to keep the cold shoe mount, which I really, really love. Content creators, we didn't want to get rid of that. But then now you see this A, B, C, D, E, F on the side, man. We was able to control the groups a little bit better. We still had our mode button. Menu system was a whole lot better to get to. The screen, I don't know if you can really see that, but the screen was definitely a little bit brighter than this one. And a lot of things just made a little bit more sense on it. You know, you can see ABC on here. It was really easier to get to the channels, to get to TTL, to get to manual, things like that. And then with this version, they also upgraded the mounting switch. So when you put it on your hot shoe, you're able to just bang. And then you also had the selector over here, which made it a whole lot easier to scroll and get to different modes and get through your selector a little bit easier. Then after we went to the R2 Mark II, we said we wanted a bigger screen. You know, we're tired of looking at these just 3 groups and everything. So what did they do? Flashpoint came out with this one. This was the X Pro, all right? We really liked this one because it had you can see groups you can see groups A through E on here. A, B, C, D, and E. You can see 5 groups on this flash, right? Then you can also control each group from the sides of the trigger, which was great. I didn't have to scroll to get to A, B, or C. I could just hit it, A, B, C. I could manipulate that one with the power selections however I wanted it to. And then down here, you also had your mode, your flash, like everything was at your fingertips. Almost every button was at your fingertips, right? It was easier to get to the modeling lamp. You can turn on all the modeling lamps that you have. This was really great for studio, all right? Because normally in a studio as a photographer, right, we're shooting with 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light. So the ability to see all 3 or 4 of your lights on this one trigger was game changing. But again, they went back to the tightening. I didn't know why they did that. They went back to the tightening instead of the latch, like on the R2 Mark II, all right? They did get rid of the cold shoe mount, so there was no cold shoe mount, but the little elbow and the design on how this one was designed was great, man. It just made things a little bit easier to get to and to navigate and manipulate each group in each channel and everything a little bit more seamless, right? So we went from the R2 Pro, and then they went to the R2 Pro 2. Now I did not get the R2 Pro 2, but I'll put a picture of it here up here on the screen somewhere. It was basically like this, but they put more buttons. We said we wanted buttons. We wanted things user friendly. We wanted it much easier. We wanted it simpler. But they also put other buttons on this side, and they had all the groups and everything down here, right? So everything, I mean, you could see what you wanted and you could just press a button. There was no going into the menu system. There was no trying to fiddle around where everything was. If you could find everything on your screen or everything right on basically the front of the trigger. The ease of use was just incredible on the R2 Pro 2. They took everything that we wanted in this trigger and then they added it to the R2 Pro 2. And then that's when you got all the buttons and things on the side. Everything was just right here at your fingertips. You'd have to go nowhere, press high-speed sync, whatever you wanted. It was right here on the front, right? And then coming into today's age, Flashpoint decided to come out with something a little bit more sleek, a little bit smaller, better viewing, touchscreen. And that's when they dropped the R2 Nano. Now, the R2 Nano, and I did a review on this, you guys can go look at that. I really like the R2 Nano. This is definitely my go-to on location flash trigger because it's small. And the viewing angle is just great. Like you can look at it from the side and everything and still get a really clear picture. And I absolutely love it. It's touchscreen and it gives me 3 groups. Now I can put more groups up here, but I have to scroll, right? But I can see 3 groups on this one little small trigger, and it's a very, very small footprint. And it does everything that I want it to do on location. Because normally on location, I don't shoot with more than 3 lights. I might have a main light and 2 rim lights at the most. Sometimes I will mainly just have a main light and a hair light, you know? So I normally don't go over 3 groups or 3 lights on location. So that's why this one is perfect for me. I love it. It's a small footprint. It's really, really lightweight. And it's a really long battery life. I think it's about 850 milliamps, 830, 850 milliamps. But the standby time on this thing is like a week long, all right? So it takes a long time for this thing to die out. And I don't know nobody out there who's on location that long with the trigger. My triggers have never died out on me. So, I really, really like the R2 Nano, man. I think this was an amazing design, and I think they hit it out the park with this one. But there were some things that I really wanted to see out of the R2 Nano that I asked Flashpoint for. Now, being a Flashpoint ambassador, when I was one of the first ones that got the R2 Nano trigger, right? And once I did the review on it, I told them specifically, and we can go back and watch the video right now. I put this in the video when I came out with this months ago. Check. I want you to see this. This is when I first said this. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the R2 Nano. So, what are my thoughts about the new R2 Nano? I love the small form factor. Again, I hope Godox or Flashpoint comes out with something like a bigger screen like this one. Like to have something like this with this size in like the studio with the pretty much look the same exact way. You just have a bigger screen, and you can get rid of all the buttons because it's touchscreen. So as you can see, I specifically told Flashpoint, if you could get this design but get it in a bigger, slimmer, or sleeker body, that would make this trigger incredible, especially for studio photographers. That would make this absolutely insane. Flashpoint, listen, I love that they listened and saw the videos, and without further ado, we got the new R2 Nano Pro TTL S for Sony. Let's get into the unboxing. I'm gonna go over some things with the R2 Nano Pro, show you some similarities, but definitely show you some things that are different. This right here is for the pros, man, because this thing is absolutely amazing. Let's get into it. All right, so let's go ahead and do a quick unboxing of the new R2 Nano Pro. All right, so when you first open it up, you're gonna see the R2 Nano Pro right here. All right, so I'm going to show you some size comparisons. Now, this is it compared or side by side with the R2 Nano and the R2 Nano Pro, all right? And then I'll show you some side by sides with the this is the R2 Pro. And you can see the size of the screen. Okay. And then of course, you know, I don't really even care that you guys probably even care about this, but this is the size of the R2. All right. So all right, so we got our R2 Nano Pro, all right? And then after that, we got a little box in here. We can go ahead and put this to the side. All right, so in our little box here, we got a nice little sleeve, all right? Now, again, unlike the R2 Nano, it doesn't come like with this little hard shell case. Of course, with the R2 Nano, you have the nice little hard shell case. And I really like this because I can just throw this in my bag and I don't have to worry about it getting damaged and everything. I'm not really too big on these little bags. I wish they would have came out with a hard shell or something for the R2 Nano Pro. That would have been great because it will allow me to throw it in my bag and keep it moving. But with such a big screen and glass, I'm not going to say that I'm afraid of it breaking or anything, but I wish they would have had a bigger a case for it, just like the R2 Nano. All right, now we have a USB-C to USB-A port, and this is going to be for our charging port right here. You can charge it or any updates, firmware updates that you need to do. And then other than that, you also have your R2 Nano book that pretty much goes over everything in here. You have a QR code to download the Flashpoint Flash app if you want to. Tells you about all the indicators and things on the flash trigger. Tells you about the controls. This thing has some tricks up its sleeve, man. And I'm not going to go over all of those in there, but all right, so let me go ahead and turn on the R2 Nano Pro. So a few specs with the R2 Nano Pro. So while I mount this on my Sony A1, I'm going to talk about a few specs with the R2 Nano Pro. It has a very intuitive touchscreen, 2.4-inch LCD screen for intuitive navigation and quick adjustments. It has multi-group display where you can control and monitor up to 4 groups simultaneously. A 2.4 gigahertz Flashpoint R2 wireless system, stable long range, up to 328 feet. 328 feet, my God. This thing has Bluetooth integration, so you can connect it to the Flashpoint app via Bluetooth for remote control or seamless configurations, timing control, time-lapse photography, and a lot of other creative freedoms that your other triggers do not have. All right, it's very lightweight, very portable, but here's the biggest thing: it has a built-in lithium battery that is rechargeable. This thing has 2,930 milliamp powers via Bluetooth, a USB recording, which is basically equates to about a month of standby time. That's a month of standby time, 2 hours to recharge it. Again, the R2 Nano has 850 milliamp battery, which is about a week. This thing can stay in standby mode for a month. Absolutely crazy. All right, so really quick, let's take a look at the outside of the R2 Nano. All right, so on the right side of the R2 Nano Pro, we have our selector dial, which means you can move your groups and everything, and you can also press it in to select. So you do have that dial that has those double functions. You have your menu or power button right here. You also have your test or flash button right here. On the other side, you have your PC sync port, and you also have, again, your USB-C charging port. On the front, you have your focus assist beam. You do have the detachable button right here. Again, with all the different designs they went through, just like the R2 Nano, we still have the detachable release button from your camera right here. Again, but like on the Nano, the C port is on the bottom right here. The C right here is on the left side right here. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the R2 Nano Pro. All right, so this is your main screen. All right, this is your multi-group display. So as you can see, I only have groups A and groups B selected here. Now, in order to add more groups, you see these 3 lines right here, and the plus, you just go right here, and now you can see that you have A, B, C. Y'all can select A, B, C, D, or E, all of those, and then when I swipe back, you can see all of the groups right here as well. All right, so that is your multi-group display. Now, unlike the R2 Nano, if you look at the R2 Nano, now here's one of the biggest upgrades. This one is not color coded. So if you can see A, B, or C, there is no color right there. It's all the same. Now, on the new R2 Nano Pro, you see groups A, B, C, and D, and you see they have a color. So this comes with their new flashes. So just like the Explorer 400 Pro Mark II, or the new 600 Pro Mark II, or even the new SE, they all have that new group light indicator, right? So you can see the indication of what group it's in. So if it's A, it's going to be in red. If it's B, it's going to be in green. If it's C, it's going to be in blue. Now, why is that significant? Let's just say you have 2 Explorer 600 Pros, right? And you just have them out there. So one of the big things you guys been seeing about the new Explorer or Flashpoint lights that's been coming out with, again, this is the new Evolve Pro Mark II, and this is the Explorer 600 Pro Mark II. One of the big things that you guys keep seeing is about these new light indicators or group indicators that's on these lights, which is really, really helpful, man. So this is red, as you can see right here, and this one is green. So this automatically tells me that this is on group A by itself, and this is on group B by itself, which is really, really great, especially if you're on location at night or in the studio. Instead of fumbling through your lights and trying to figure out which one is on what group, this will automatically tell me that both of these lights are on different groups, which is an incredible addition to the Explorer series or the Flashpoint series lights. And if I was to use the Nano, if one is blue and one is green, that doesn't tell me what group they're on. I literally have to know. I have to walk up to the flash, look at what group is in, be like, oh, okay, that's blue. That's on group A, or that's on group B. But now with the integration of the group light indicators on each light at the bottom that's really bright, I can see that flash is now blue. So with the new R2 Nano Pro, I can see that's a blue. Okay, blue tells me that that's on group C. That's green. Green tells me that that's on group B. So without actually going up to the flashes, and if you forget what flash or what group you put them on, if you use the Explorer flashes in the groups, with especially the new ones, and they have that group light indicator on there, this can tell you now which one is which and how to control it, just to ensure that they're on the right groups. So phenomenal integration. I really like that into the new flash trigger. Now they are color coded. All right, now again, if you want to get rid of all these groups, you scroll all the way to the bottom of the multi-group, you press it, and then you can just take those groups off if you want to, one by one, and you're good. So now we're just back on group A. Let's move to the single group display. So say for instance, if you're just using one light, all right, and you can see what this looks like right here, you might not like it that big. You might want it bigger. In order to make that group bigger, you need to hit that group. Now you can see it's much larger on the screen now. So now you can see your 128, and this is also how you put this in TTL mode. So as you can see right there, there is a M right here. If you press that M, it goes green. Now you can see it is in TTL mode. All right, so that's how you would do that. And then if you scroll back over to your right, you can now see that group is actually in TTL mode. Now unfortunately, there is no way that I know of, there is no way to put this in TTL mode just by sitting on the multi-group display. Again, this is the multi-group display where you can see multiple groups. If you want to put this in TTL mode, you actually have to go into that specific group and click on TTL. Now inside the single group, you also have your zoom. Like if you have an on-camera flash, you can change the zoom of that flash as well, so it can be further in or come back. All right. And then also you also have the modeling lamps on here. So if you want to turn on the modeling lamp 50, it can be off. Then you can turn it to 50%, and you can change the percentages of that modeling lamp right there in that specific group. All right, but again, you have to be in that specific group in order to make changes to that one particular light. Now there's two ways to get into the flash control interface. All right, you can hit the button on the side that'll bring down the flash control interface, or you can swipe down from the top of the screen. That will also bring down the flash control interface. So let's start with the menu system. Again, I'm not going to go over all of this because this is very, very similar to the R2 Nano. So if you want in-depth review of everything in the menu system, man, just go check out my review on the R2 Nano. They basically have the same things with respect to just a few things. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the menu first. All right, so in the menu, this is where you would turn on your Bluetooth. Again, this can connect to the Flashpoint Flash app. All right, in order to do that, and you can control this through your app, you can control the flash through your app, you have to turn on Bluetooth. All right, so that's Bluetooth. You have your shoot one shot. If you're basically shooting by yourself, leave it on one shot. If you have multiple people around, you want to put this on all shoot. That way that the parameters and things are what you're shooting at. When you shoot, they won't change just because other people are shooting. But in this new interface, now you have the L858, which is basically the satanic light meter. All right, so these can now be adjusted when this is connected. This can actually be adjusted through the light meter, which I thought was pretty good. I've never seen that before. All right, let's go back. Swipe over. You have the option to turn on or off legacy hot shoe. I'll go over that in a separate video. It's not really a lot on that. I'm not going to cover legacy hot shoe. That doesn't mean that you can put this on another body like a Canon or a Nikon and be able to use this flash. That's not what that is. All right. You have your auto off. All right, so this trigger will turn off. You can set it when you want to turn off 60 minutes, 30 minutes. But I highly recommend, listen, I know a lot of times when we go on location and we're shooting, a lot of times we throw these triggers in our bag and we forget to turn them off. Listen, turn on the auto off and have this thing, if it's not in use, turn this thing on so you won't drain your battery. All right, it's always good to have it off. It's not going to hurt you. All right. Trigger distance, I covered this in my last R2 Nano video. I always have my R2 trigger from 1 to 100, and that just gives me that flexibility. So sometimes if I'm shooting close or 1 meter, I'm gonna be good. You know I'm gonna be able to connect with my flash. But sometimes I might want to go under a tunnel, or maybe I want to go up on a bridge while my model is way down there, or do something creative. I want to make sure that my flash can always communicate with my flash trigger. All right, so I always leave this on 1 to 100. I don't know any situations where 0 to 30 is going to be whatever, so just leave it on 1 to 100. You also have the step powers in here. All right, so I always leave mine on 512. I like using these because I've always had these on all the flashes that I've ever had from Flashpoint. But if you are used to like a Westcott flash where you use like the power steps like 0, 1, 0, 3, things like that, you can use these on here as well. And then you can also adjust the increment so you can get a little bit more detail with the flash. But again, mine is just set on 512 03. If I figure that I need just some more control, I'll put it on 01. You also have TCM right here. If you're using speed light, you can adjust that. You have for your 100, 200, 300, 400, and this is basically allows you to change the values from the TTL value of those triggers and output them in the manual value. I'm not going to go over TCM. There's a lot of stuff out there, but again, you can look that up. On this new trigger, they also have HSS delay. So you have high-speed sync delay. You can turn on the delay. So if you're doing something and you need the high-speed sync to flash a little bit later or have a little bit of a delay, you now have that on here. Now, I don't know really where that would be. I would use it, but I definitely know that there are some creative values out there where that HSS delay can be used. All right, now here's something that I really like. This now has presets. So presets allow you to save presets on a specific flash. So let's just say you have a one light setup, all right, and you want it already set up for a one light. Everything in here is set up just for a one light. Well, if I go back, I'm gonna make sure I only have one group active, right? And then I'm gonna go into my menu system and I'm gonna go down to preset. And then I'm gonna go to select preset 1 and then I'm gonna save it. So all of the parameters that and you can see it has that little yellow button in there that says there is something saved on preset 1, right? So everything that's in here now that I've saved to this trigger is saved under that preset. Now let's just say I like to do a 3 light setup. Say for instance, I take this off of here, I put it in my studio where I normally always have, you know, it's a controlled environment, so I always have 3 or 4. Let's do 4 lights. Some people might like 4 lights. So I always have a 4 light setup in my studio, right? So as you can see, the group, the multi-group indicator, you see 4 lights right there that are active. So what I would do is I will go back to presets, go down to preset, and then I can click on preset number 2, and then I can save that. So now that preset is saved. Now, say for instance, I'm going back outside, I'm going back to my one light setup. I'll swipe down and I want to select that preset to a one light setup. I select preset and then you see save, delete, apply, and cancel. All right, so you're going to apply that preset, and if I scroll back over here, now you can see everything that was saved in that preset on preset 1 is now active. All right, and you only see that one light. Let's say I take that trigger from outside, I go back in the studio. Well, let's go back to the preset so I don't have to reselect all those flashes again. I select preset number 2 and then I select apply, and then when I go back, I should see all 4 lights right there. I think that is great. I love that because as a photographer, especially if you shoot on location a lot, if you shoot in studio and you really like this trigger, I love it because it gives you the flexibility to go outside, inside. So I love what Flashpoint did with that. Now, I was gonna say this to the end of the video, but I'm gonna tell you something that I wish they would have included. Let's say you have a setup where you want to do TTL. Let's say you have a 2 light setup. Let's say you want to use multi. You might be one of those people who shoot strobes a lot and you have people run through water and you want to use this thing in multi, and you save all of those on different presets. The problem with that is that if you go to preset, you can see them active, but you can't rename them. Now, I don't know if that can just be a firmware update or something that we can do, but I wish I was able to rename them. So like in preset 1, I can name that 1 light. Preset 2, I can name that 3 light setup. Preset 3, I can name that multi setup. Preset 4, I can name that's my TTL 2 light setup or whatever. I mean, I can put in 8 different presets in here. But if I have 5 or 6 different presets that I save in here, we do a lot of shooting. How am I gonna know which one is which? I mean, I'm not gonna remember. I mean, I can put them in order: 1 light, preset 1, 2 light, preset 2, 3 light, preset 3. Like I can put them under that type of order. But I really wish I was able to rename the presets. I thought that was a missed opportunity. Maybe that's something that they can come out with in a firmware update. So again, Flashpoint, if you're looking at this, definitely renaming the presets, especially if you have a lot of presets in here and you're a photographer like me who goes in and out and all these different, it would be great to have be able to name my presets. All right, so let's go back to the menu and moving right along in that. All right, so after presets, you also have your screen dimming, so you can dim your screen, you can brighten your screen, and you can also have your screen turn off after 1, 2, or 3 minutes. All right, moving right along. Language, make sure you change this to English. when you come, mine was in English, all right? It wasn't in, like, a lot of when I got the Nano, it was in Chinese, and I was trying to figure out how to adjust it. But this does come in English, so you should be good. All right, and then you can reset everything to factory reset if you want to. And then at the bottom, you have your device info and your version. So if you do update it, you can come down here and make sure you are updated to the latest version. All right, so let's go back up here and let's go back and scroll down. Here is wireless. Wireless is under a different channels. If you need to change your channel on this flash trigger, this is where you do this. You can go from one channel, I think it's all the way up to 35 channel, 32. 32 channels, and then you can also go with a different ID. That way you can ensure that nobody is interfering with your flash when you are shooting with your flash triggers and your flash group. A lot of times if you take these things to, you know, places like, well, like we go to Sony events or, you know, anywhere where you're shooting around a whole lot of people and everybody's on different channels and everything, but nobody's changed their ID off or change their ID so they can ensure that you don't interfere with everybody else. That's where you would do that. You can also scan for the best channel, and then you can sync that just in case to your flashes, so everything can be synced up properly and good to go. All right, so that's where wireless is. All right, next you have a multi. When you click on multi and you scroll up, you're going to be in the multi interface now. All right, multi flash. All right, so you'll be able to select, you see your groups are now here at the bottom of the trigger. All right, so now your groups are down here, so you can control the multi for each of those groups. So if you however powerful you want group A to be, that's how you can adjust that right here. And then you can say if you wanted to flash 3 times, and the hertz of that flash is right over here. All right, so 4 times and how powerful, 5 times how powerful. That's how you would do that. That's how you would control that for each group. In order to get out of multi, you have to scroll back up, and then you have to click out of multi in order to go back to your multi-group indicator. All right, make sure you hit multi and get out of multi. Otherwise, you're going to try to figure out why you can't go back to the beginning. You're still stuck in multi. All right, moving right along, you have your modeling lamp if you want to turn on your modeling lamp for all of your flash triggers or not. Again, if you're turning it on for a single group, you can go into that single group and turn it on through that way. You have your beep here, so if you wanted to flash and you like to hear that beep like I do, I love the beep, I will use that. If I'm in a big space and a lot of people around and I don't want it to make that noise, then I can turn that beep off. You can go into your high-speed sync right here. I pretty much always leave my high-speed sync on. I don't really have a reason not to put it on, but if I'm trying to shoot under 2/50th of a second, and I don't want it to go into high-speed sync and I want to ensure that I'm staying within that camera's flash sync speed, then I'll just turn it off. It really don't matter. But again, that's knowing your camera. All right, next you have your lock button, so you can lock it if you're not using it, and then you press it to hold it for 2 seconds, and then you unlock it just like so. It brings you back to the multi-group interface, and then you have shutter control right here. Shutter control is a whole different interface. All right, if you're using this thing for shutter control, if you want it to control the shutter, you can do a lot of things when you plug in the PC sync port, plug it into the camera, and you have different type of controls. I'm not going to go over a lot of that, but you also, like I said, you have flash control or shutter control on this trigger now, which I think is really, really, really good. All right, and that's gonna do it, everybody. Man, I want to thank you guys for checking out this video. Man, I think this trigger, I'm gonna just tell you, I think this trigger is amazing. It's a game changer. Now I will tell you, this thing got some weight to it, but I love, like, it's so nice, it's so bright, it's very, very intuitive, man. I love how user friendly it is. I love the way that they did this flash, man. It gave us that bigger screen that I initially asked them for. I can't wait to really put this in a photo shoot for you guys. Like, again, they're still flash triggers. They trigger flashes, all right? It's this one, but I think at the end of the day, I think what we want as flash photographers is the ease of use, the usability, you know, being able to see, you know, the big bright screens, you know, being able to see our flashes, being able to get to things really, really fast that we want, and being able to control these things with no problem. I mean, we don't go that far away from our flashes, right? But this thing can go up to 328 feet. I mean, just think of the creativity, especially if you're like me and you shoot with a 200 or 300 millimeter lens. That I got the perfect, I got the perfect flash trigger for that, all right? I appreciate you guys, man. Until next time, man, make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe. Tell me what you like. Tell me if you're going to continue to use the Nano. Tell me if you're going to pick up the R2 Nano Pro. If you like what Flashpoint is doing, man, let them know in the comment section below, because they do look at these videos, man, and I appreciate them for listening, coming from the smaller screen on the Nano, going to the bigger screen on the Nano Pro, man. And yeah, we're going to continue to push it, man. And until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Holla, peace out.